guests. So our first guest tonight is a celebrated comedian, actor, author. He's the author of Silver Screen Fiend, which is amazing if you haven't read it. And tonight he's a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre like all of us. Please welcome Patton Oswalt. Cool. And we're also very honored tonight to have the cinematographer of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as well as the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Please welcome Daniel Pearl, ASC. Thank you both so much for being here. So now that, we'll have to share mics too. So now that I got you guys.
Oh, okay.
Now
He
that
just said, you're a talker, I'm a shooter. Okay.
Nice.
I like it.
So I got you guys both in the same room. I got to address your fan theory, Pat.
Oh, yeah.
So we know that Saturn is in retrograde in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It is.
In the opening credits,
The key to the movie.
we're seeing the red sun.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking a bit about how the red sun might be what is making these people act crazy.
It does, again, the film, and I'm sure that this is, you're the guy that shot it, you were there, you remember what the quality of the light was. I know how brutal the summer was, but there is a real, he really captured on film that brutal Texas heat, and the dog day, August is the dog days where people go crazy. The August heat drives people to murder, and this feels like it's almost on a global cosmic level. There's a cosmic evil pouring down on the planet, because it's every shot is drenched in it. Even the night shots look sweaty and hot, and there's bugs in the lights, and it feels really diseased and malevolent and amazing.
Was that ever by design, Daniel? The idea that the sun is like a villain? This movie's kind of a pioneer of daylight horror.
Well, the sunspots are written into the script.
Oh.
Right? The grave robbing, or the grave robbing, was not in the original script, but the sunspots were. But it was brutally hot, and it was quite a miserable experience, really, all the way around. I don't know if you want me to go deeply and
Sure.
more about the heat. Okay. Texas at that time, as Patton says, in August it's tough, and it was over 100 degrees. In particular, where we really felt it was the dinner sequence, which was a 27-hour shoot. John Dugan, who plays the 108-year-old grandfather, he was 22 years old at the time, or 20, I think, actually. And they put the prosthetic makeup on him to make him look like Grandpa, and it took 9 hours. And he announced at the end of that 9 hours, "I'm not doing it again, you have to shoot me out." So we had been working 9 hours before we even got him, and it took us another 17 from there to, or whatever it was, however many more, 19, whatever, to 18, I guess, to get us to the finish line with it. But in addition to that, there's head cheese on the plates for the dinner sequence. Our budget was so low. I think you mentioned it in the film, on a shoestring. We made the film for $80,000. And our budget was so low, we couldn't even afford second helpings of the head cheese. Right? So it had been also in the 104-degree heat for 27 hours as well. It smelled horribly, rotten. It really was rank. What a lot of people don't know, in particular, is Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface, gigantic Viking of a man that he was, but a gentle giant, not anything like the character he portrays. But Toby refused to allow his one set of wardrobe to be washed because it was one set of wardrobe. And Toby was so worried that something would happen to it that he refused to allow it to be washed. So you have this gigantic man wrapped up in a rubber apron running around every day in this Texas ungodly heat and not allowed to have his wardrobe washed. So it was pretty torturous on all levels, but all of us that made the film, we feel like our misery comes across on the screen.
Yeah, apparently they didn't want to wash his suit, because especially the shirt, they were worried that it would come out a different color and not match. So he had to keep the sweaty, horrible, oh my God. By the way, when I watched this again, talk about like little details, this film is so rich in detail that someone like me can put a theory onto it and it will still support it, because why not? You see all the different ways people were interpreting it and how it affected them. One little detail that I had not noticed until I watched it again at the Egyptian is after he kills Pam, and Pam is hanging on that meat hook, on her right wrist is a bangled, like a bracelet with big bangles on it. And then later in the film, Leatherface is wearing that bracelet, like he keeps it and wears it. And when Jerry goes back, when Jerry's kind of looking down the hallway, he hears the bracelet jingling, like Leatherface is using it to lure him into the house. So there's just so much more going on. It's like early Beatles music. It sounds so simple and pure, and there's so many other hidden levels to it. Like just the production design and the set design was insane. Yeah, so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob Burns, our production designer, he showed up with a copy of a 1957 Life magazine from when they arrested Ed Gein, and the pictures that were taken at that time. So that absolutely was our inspiration, set-wise, and the armchairs, and these were things that actually Ed Gein had also been doing. He was doing, working with people's face, the skin of their faces and things like that, making lampshades and stuff like that out of it. So production design was incredible. I mean, the combination of that set and the situation, it really did a lot to put us, in the right place to make the crazy film we made.
Ed Gein, as you all know, is that incredibly hot, sculpted, just He-Man. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix. He was a hot dude.
Well, I actually want to point out, I don't know where Brock is there. That man raising his hand plays Leatherface in the Monster TV show.
What?
Yeah.
Nice!
Stand up, Brock.
Let's take a look at you. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's Leatherface, my friend. Woo! I wish I could play Yes's Owner of a Lonely Heart right now as you sashay down the aisles.
So you mentioned the meat hook going in. Daniel and I were talking earlier today, and he actually pointed out something that I never noticed, which is you don't see it go in.
Never do. No, it's all, and you only see like a couple of drops of blood hit that pan on the bottom. It's much like the shower scene in Psycho. You never see the knife go into the flesh. It's all implied.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many gory horror films that have come out since.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you both on this. Why is it that, we're making documentaries about how this movie made us feel 50 years later?
You just said it. It has nothing to do with the images. It's how they're put together and then how you feel afterward. This stays with you way longer than an elaborate, gory special effects shot. So, sorry, back to you.
It's funny, the last 2 years now since we had our 50th, started to have the 50th anniversary celebration, they started inviting me to the horror cons. I went, what? Nobody cares about the cinematographers, it's all about the actors. They go, well, you don't know. I mean, you shot the original, you shot the remake, the most recent Friday the 13th, and you're not even getting into your music video career, which is also crazy. But anyhow,
Daniel has shot over 400 music videos, including Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
Stop. The guy who shot the Texas Chainsaw Massacre also shot the Billie Jean video?
correct.
Mwah.
And half of Mariah Carey's videos.
Really?
Range
and,
right there.
and a good huge portion of Shania Twain's videos.
Oh my God.
And on and on. In
Man,
fact,
I feel like a woman.
that's that's where I shot, man. I
Oh,
feel like
wow.
that.
All right.
And in fact, that's how I got hired for the remake. Was they're basically, well, my wife had a falling out with Michael Bay, who was our executive producer, because he yelled.
Oh, yeah? Michael Bay made you-
I was shooting Meatloaf, I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that video for Michael Bay.
Yeah.
And it was the next day was going to be Father's Day. I was getting on a midnight flight to Miami to film Whitney Houston, and I asked if my daughter could come to the set so I could, Father's Day, to spend some time with her. And I said, oh yeah, sure, fine. Michael Bay agreed, the producer agreed. Well, we're in, if you know that video, it's a Gothic mansion, and Meatloaf plays the Beast, and it's the Beauty and the Beast story. And we're in the most scariest part of it with lightning in the Gothic set, and it's lightning, and it's really, and like I said, it's sort of as intimidating as it could be to an 8-year-old child. My daughter comes in the door with my wife 5 minutes before lunch as we're rolling, and Michael Bay yells at the top of his lungs, "What the fuck is that kid doing in here?" And my wife never forgave him for it. But what was cool about it was Meatloaf went straight over to my daughter and got down on his knees and said, "Look, I'm not really a monster." And he peeled the prosthetic pieces back to show that, and he totally diffused it. She went on to become a pilot and delivered to Navy SEALs. So she flew Hercules C-130. So
There you go.
not totally unfair.
Thanks, Meatloaf.
So this whole Chain Reactions project, the documentary, it's all about first impressions of Texas Chainsaw. You mentioned watching TCM with your friends on the Wizard videotape when you were a kid.
Yep.
But how did it make you feel the first time you ever saw it? Do you remember the specific memory for the first time?
Yes, I remember I watched it on a very small TV in my friend's living room in the after school one day on one of those top loading VCRs like I talk about, and it, because of the videotape case, it was just very low budget and like cheap generic art, not that poster that you have. It was just this other like slapped on, and it really had that forbidden feel to it, like snuff film, like, oh, maybe we should be watching this. And in a weird way, I had way more garish, gothic, profane visions of what the movie would be, and the fact that it was so much more subtle and creepy and kind of low budget made it even more scary to me because it felt more real. And the fact that we're just sitting in a suburban living room on a Wednesday afternoon after school, and I was watching this thing, and it was, I had built the movie up in my mind because I'd seen still photos in Fangoria and stuff like that, but it wasn't an easy film to get a hold of in the early 80s. So when I did finally see it, it didn't meet my expectations, but it went another area that I wasn't expecting it to go.
What did you think it was going to do, just out of curiosity, that it didn't necessarily do?
Well, I mean, with a title like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I thought it would just be like nonstop. I thought there would be, for some reason, I thought there'd be multiple chainsaws being wielded and like dozens of people being killed. But the fact that it becomes this very tight, just stalking, and then also it's this, like Karen is saying, it's a weird family dynamic of like this fractured, messed up family, and then also these kids. Like, it had dimensions and levels that I didn't have in my head before I saw it.
Daniel, you were 23 when you shot this movie. Obviously, there was a lot of intentionality behind the filming of it, but you never would have expected to be talking about it 50 years later. At what point did you know that this was a thing that kids like Patton were passing around, and like when did kind of the legacy of it hit you?
When did I realize that the film was a hit, or when did I realize that it might be something?
That it had a second life that was kind of becoming part of the vernacular. Like, it was a hit, it made a lot of money, and then it went to this other level.
Yes, yeah. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that one.
Was it
I really
like?
don't. But what I will tell you is that it's a scene that's been played, as I saw several times in this film, when Pam has been hung on the meat hook, and he goes over, starts up the chainsaw, and comes in to cut up the Kirk character. As I was filming that, I said to myself, "Oh my God, no one has ever seen anything like this. This is just the craziest shit ever." And that's when I had an idea that it was very different from anything else that had ever been done. And but as far as when it went from one kind of film to the other, I was probably busy shooting Billie Jean at that time and didn't pay attention to it. You know, that's all that stuff. But if I could, I would like to backtrack to what we were talking about before about the meat hook sequence, because I went off on the wrong, didn't answer the question. But Ed Neal, who plays the hitchhiker, I started to mention that I think that I started talking about going to horror cons. The reason I did that is because that's where I see Ed Neal and the cast members that are still surviving all the time, which is one of the great things for me about going to the horror cons, is to get back together with this cast. You know, we all have a great time laughing about, you know, our adventures on it. And Ed Neal there, he likes to play with the fans, and they'll tell us, "Oh, it's the most gruesome, gory thing ever." He goes, "Well, do you think you see the meat hook go into Pam's back?" And they go, "Oh yeah." He goes, he bets everybody $5. He just bets a friendly bet that you don't see it. And in fact, when one of the first meetings that I had with Toby to discuss the picture, he goes, "Oh, damn, man, I have to imitate Toby when I'm sorry. Oh, damn, man, I need a cigar and Dr. Pepper, but other than that, I'm really, oh, damn, man, you know, we ain't got no money to do any visual effects. You know, we didn't call it visual effects, those opticals in those days, but we don't have any money for that. And so, you know, we can't even show this stuff. We have to be very clever about how we do this. You got to get me really strong angles, and that I can cut. And I'll be very careful in the edit that I play it, take it right up to that moment of the violence, and then cut around and not show it." And he said, and of course with sound effects and sound work, I'll take it even further. So I was into this right away. I thought fantastic, what a, you know, fabulous idea. But basically that's what it was, is that we knew we couldn't show it graphically. And in fact, we do show some graphically in the remake, and it's certainly not any scarier than the original, that's for sure.
And the remake's good, but it doesn't, and it's a very entertaining movie, and it scares you. There's good scares, but it doesn't stay with you like this one. This one, you just run over. I remember that I read that there was this big article in Texas Monthly about the making of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Back in the 80s, I was reading it, and it was VD, it was a play on
yeah.
The King we saw. And there was a great quote when Toby was screening a rough cut. There was some projection. This old guy. And like in the middle of the screening, the projectionist like looks over at Toby, goes, "There's a lot of sick people in this world, and you boys are going to make a lot of money." But of course you didn't, because of all the shenanigans with the distribution and the money and all that. So you know that.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting story. There were a few of us that didn't get hung up about that. And most of the cast members got very hung up about that, and threatened to sue Toby. Toby and I went on. I shot his Billy Idol Dancing with Myself video, which was a huge thing for him, because he was in a bad way coming out of Poltergeist, and I put him right back up at the top. In fact, he was in the first ever MTV Awards. He was nominated for Best Director. It was the most happening thing going on in media at the time. Music video was, and here's Toby Bam right up there with, you know, the top 5 at it. And then I also did his Invaders from Mars remake with him. Shot that for him as well. Well, thank you. But wow.
Well, the swing shot, Patton, you talked about the swing shot. As the girl is walking into the frame, and it's tilting up to see the house, and that kind of is a tonal shift within the movie. It's like
suddenly so beautiful. It's like this bucolic, prosaic, like most poetic shot. It's very lyrical, and you're about to see the worst scene in the movie, and that's what leads up to it.
Daniel was
so diabolical,
telling me that he and Toby had to sell them on like being allowed to do that shot?
Yeah, after the first week, they decided that you mentioned talk about storyboards too, right? So after the first week, they go, you guys are just making the shots up. You're not going fast enough. Of course, what I didn't realize at the time is that you're never going fast enough because time is money in filmmaking. So if you can save a minute, that's equivocates to money. So you never go fast enough. But anyhow, they shut us down for a week. They said, look, you guys are just come in here and you're making the shots up as you go. That's not how somebody told us films are made, because they hadn't made any films before either, really. And production hadn't. But anyhow, they're going, so we're shutting you down. Toby's going to shot list the whole film. Then you'll come back to work. Excuse me. All right, so 1 week passes. We come back to work. It's a Monday. I go in there first. I set up they hand me the shot list. You have to keep in mind, it's not like today where somebody writes a shot list. 5 seconds later, the entire 80 people on the company have seen it, right? No, it's they have to bring me a mimeograph copy, and I don't get to see it until I'm about to execute it. And Toby shows up 45 minutes later and flips, completely reverses everything, and changes the whole approach. We go through the whole day not shooting anything on the shot list. Production's too busy getting us back in production because they have to rearrange catering, rearrange locations, rearrange actors, availability, etc., equipment. And so they're not paying attention. The next day, same exact thing happens. By the end of that day, they realize, guys are not shooting the shot list. All right, from now on, if it's not on the shot list, well, what I didn't tell you was when I said to Toby, at the second, they go, Toby, what's going on? He goes, oh, Dan, oh man, he goes, you expect me to be in my home without not in the location, without the cast and write shots that are cool? We've been making up great shots. And how am I going to do that without having the cast there? So we're going to go into the location, let the cast show us what they want to do, then we'll figure out how we're going to cover it. And it goes, they're crazy like this. But anyhow, they realize you guys are not shooting the shot list. From now on, if it's not on the shot list, you can't shoot it. Well, we're shooting a sequence out by the swing where Pam characters goes up to the doorway. And I had this idea. I go, Toby, we have a platform dolly. It only rides about that high off the ground. And I can lay on my belly on that dolly, and I could fit under the swing without cheating the swing up at all. The swing can be its normal height. I could fit under the swing. I'll have to hang the motor. Particular camera we had was kind of taller than most 16, well, not the mousier ones, but it was tall. And I could hang the motor off the front edge, and I could clear it. And I said, and Toby, the way I described it to him, I said, of course, Toby, 1973, I said, we'll get some sex, we'll get a good shot on these, up at this cut the ass and these cut off jeans. And they go, yeah, cool. I said, Toby, I said, as we do it, the house will grow and grow and grow and grow. Just like that to him, overtake the frame. He lights up, I just light up, go, Daniel, do it, man. And he just goes off very happily to go get himself another Dr. Pepper, I guess. So anyhow, so I start giving the crew instructions. Then all of a sudden I'm up there, guys, that dolly track, wait, bring it back here. I tell them how to lay the dolly track for that particular shot. And the production manager goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I had this idea for a shot. He goes, it's not shot listed, you can't shoot it. So my body language goes from this to, Toby sees that from afar, comes across, he goes, what's going on? I said, they're not going to let us shoot the shot. Toby turns to the guy, he goes, listen, you don't understand. Daniel's come up with the most incredible way to start the second act of this film. He said, I'm the director, he's the cinematographer, maybe you're going to fire us, maybe we're not back tomorrow, but right now we're shooting that shot, get the hell out of our way. Yes, I'm forever grateful to Toby for that.
Patton, there's a great intersection between comedy and horror, and I feel like we're seeing that more and more now with the rise of so many horror comedies and like the David Gordon Green Halloween and stuff like that. Has any horror movie such as this one inspired your career in comedy? Did you?
It's especially in terms of like setup and punchline. There's nothing more. The mechanism to get a laugh or a scream is kind of the same thing. And a lot of times when I love how at the end of this movie, as Sally's being driven away, she is she's so beyond the point of horror that she's now laughing. Much like in the original Boris Karloff, The Mummy, the first guy who sees the mummy basically laughs himself to death. Like his brain cannot comprehend. So there's always this edge between horror and laughter. And especially this past summer, if you saw movies like Weapons or Companion or Sinners, there was a lot of overlap with horror and comedy, sometimes in the exact same scene. It's a way to disarm you, and then you lower the boom on that. Now, this movie is all tension. I don't think there's anything, every frame has something threatening or unsettling in it, and it's such a raw choice. That's also really hard to sustain. But yeah, there is definitely, I mean, as far as like horror movies that have inspired my, I won't say there's any horror movie that inspired my stand-up comedy, even though I have talked about horror movies in that, but I was never like, oh, I gotta do a bit that's like Pam walking into the house and getting slaughtered like that. But there are movies that I will use as launching points to talk about stuff. Like you saw in this thing, I have a whole new bit about watching Halloween with my 16-year-old daughter, the original one. I just talked about it on Colbert last week. There's always that, all right, I'm gonna let you see this movie now. This movie messed me up. You gotta be ready. You wanted to see this. Are you ready for this? And then she's like, yeah, I think so. And then you start playing it, and then halfway into it, she's like, why didn't you just call the police? He's standing in her backyard. Like, what is this? Like, there's these different levels. Although I do end that bit, because the whole movie, she's just like, this is ridiculous. This is so dumb. Yeah. But I end the bit going, now I want her to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, I want to make sure that the wife and I go out and get dinner. You stay home, sweetie. Enjoy. I got it all queued up for you. Like, just out of revenge, like petty revenge. Yeah. You know, because I do think that this movie, because I saw this at the New Art in the early aughts at midnight with a pretty full crowd, and I 4 people left. Like, it was very intense. It was all 20-somethings, and they were freaked out. Like, this movie has a power.
It's aged incredibly well. There's nothing about it that is
No, you're
silly
done, Daniel. So anyway,
I just want to say that to Toby, it was a comedy while we were shooting it.
Really?
A good take. He laughed his ass off.
well, I know there is one take, and they left it in the movie, again, because of that article when you were watching dailies, where Sally is running. So she runs and goes around this tight corner, and then Leatherface comes and almost does like a Looney Tunes, like, whoa, and then he has to correct himself and then go back. It's like a slapstick comedy shot.
Can I tell you how you want to know what? All right, we were shooting a split, right? And so on, those of you who know split days, you basically take a lunch break to transition from daytime to nighttime. So we're having dinner, and of course we're getting into night work, and we're going to be moving. So it's determined that Toby and I should go off and figure out what we're doing that night. So we leave without having any dessert, which, unbeknownst to anybody, was marijuana brownies that night. And Gunnar did have several brownies. That's hence the move that you talk about. Yeah. Marilyn did not have any. I did not have any. Toby did not have any. And it was the 4 of us that shot everybody up. But by the time Toby and I got back, the crew was so fucked up. They were laying around laughing, literally could not work. And the 4 of us just shot that night. That sequence is just done by the 4 of us only.
By the way, I also love there's a special edition of this DVD that's coming out that yes, there is the beautiful restored version, and they're also including the magnetic video one, the way that it looked. Is it
the
Wizard video?
I supplied that tape.
Oh, you did?
That release.
Yeah, because that's how I remember seeing it. Right. And they also have the Australian. It's called the barbecue edition, where it's like almost overlit, looks like it's roasted. She talks about that.
That's the 16 millimeter.
Yes,
I supplied that too.
Oh, really? Yeah. And then there's 2 other versions.
Yeah, there's 8 on this Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah. They said they're sending it to me, but you get to, if you want to, you can see how people in Australia encountered it, how people in the UK encountered it. It did have different looks and way different impacts on people.
Do you think, both of you, that there's a ideal way to experience this movie? Is like someone said in that doc, I think, like, oh, it's perfect on VHS, and you know, we're supplying all these different versions.
I can't really speak to that because I've got my memory of it, and luckily
I can also say that, yes, I watched the Wizard video. I have since seen cleaned up versions that are also amazing, but this is one of those, if I had a time machine. Apparently, one of the earliest preview screenings of Texas Chainsaw Massacre was in San Francisco at the Roxy Theater on 16th. They were showing Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, and they told the crowd when the movie was over, we have a movie we'd like to preview if anyone wants to stay. They had no announcement of what this was. And being able to sit in that crowd, and people were like storming out and screaming at the box office, and kids were traumatized, and like to get to sit in the back, because I've seen a lot of movies at the Roxy, so to get to sit in the back and watch an early 70s San Francisco crowd just watched a fun Walter Matthau crime movie, and like, anyone wants to stay, watch, we have a free, and people like, free movie, all right, and then they're like 15 minutes into it, the fuck is going on? Like, that must have been amazing to watch.
Apparently, last year, the marketing team of Terrifier 3 told audiences to watch a Christmas movie with their families and just showed them that.
Oh, well, there you go.
So those tactics are still in place. Daniel, did you have anything to say about the ideal format for you as the architect of this film?
As you can imagine, as a cinematographer, a lot of people have wanted to engage me in a conversation about the look of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And as Pat Payton has said, Patton, excuse me. I would get that anyhow if he said the cinematography was amateur.
The
The
look
look,
of
yes,
Texas Chainsaw
thank you. I'm a lot older than I look, folks. Excuse me. You have to reboot your hard drive every so often. I have to do mine too. You can imagine that 52 years ago I shot the film, so you can do the math on it. But anyhow, what I tell people is that in order for us to talk about it, we actually have to sit down and watch it together, because there are so many different variations of it. There are many magenta or pink versions. There are green, I've seen lime green versions. I've seen versions that were printed through the base. The film was put in, loaded improperly in the printer, and it's flipped left or right. People are driving on the wrong side of the street. The writing is all backwards. I mean, it's all over the place. And what was crazy about it was Bryanston, our distributor, who we had so much hassles with, and so much, so many disagreements and legal issues with, was the amount that they were telling us they were paying for prints was ridiculously low. This is a place where they could have been ripping us off and telling us, but it was like, so the number was so low, it was obvious that the prints would just be terrible.
Patton, we first met when I handed you the Wizard videotape on the set of this movie.
Yes, you did.
That was an interesting process. We were in like a burnt out building.
Yeah, it was. It feels like I've seen that building subconsciously in a lot of post-apocalyptic shootout films and other horror films. It's like a film location that people use, right?
It was in like Santa Clarita
Yeah, it's
or
like in
something.
the mountains. Yeah.
So how did you become involved in Chain Reactions? Did you know Alexander previously?
I didn't know him personally, but I love his movies, and I think I either tweeted about his movies or posted on Insta. And it's very easy. One of the few benefits of social media is you can hook up with other creatives and artists that you really like, and you can really champion stuff that. Especially, it was weird. I did a Q&A Saturday at the Vista.
I was there.
You were there. Oh yeah. And afterward at dinner, Phil Lord said, right now with movies, it's all hands on deck. Like, get out. If you can trumpet someone else's movie and be evangelical about something and help it get the views it needs, we all got to start showing up for each other. So that felt really good. But that was always been my thing of I'm very selfish in that I want more of the stuff I like to get made. So if the stuff I like doesn't succeed and get popular, it won't get made. So I want to make sure it gets out there and people see it and it makes money and does well. One of the big problems I think with my generation, Gen X, was we really valued the whole, I'm just going to BitTorrent this thing and steal it off this, and then why don't they make more of the stuff I like? Because you're not paying for it. It's not making money.
I'm going to turn myself in and say that the way I first saw Texas Chainsaw at my age, my generation, was through LimeWire.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, but luckily, hopefully, that is starting to now, because people are now collecting physical media and realizing, oh, wait a minute, this could get taken away. So let's go support this stuff. But yeah, that whole oh my God, what was your original question?
Just the filming
well,
process.
no, holding that videotape. I wrote the sound of those cases snapping open and the sound going. You found a top-loading VCR.
Yeah.
So those are very, very like sensory memories for me.
Yeah, it's very tactile and satisfying. And I think physical media is coming around in a pretty big way. Now
Yes.
it's having a great second life. So it's really cool to see like Dark Sky like putting out 8 versions of the movie on that Blu-ray.
Well, because each version then becomes a documentary. Oh, this is what was happening for this generation at this time. It also speaks to how great this movie is. No matter which version you watch it in, the grittiest, scariest, most snuff film looking version or the pristine, cleaned up version, it's equally disturbing every time. It is just I don't use this word a lot when I describe it. It's a ferocious movie. The movie itself is feral. It's just feral and sweaty, and it looks like the movie wants to start devouring itself almost. It's so feral.
It lives, like it
Yeah,
breathes in,
really
in a
does.
way beyond the life that you and Toby gave it. It feels like it has this
Yeah.
organic life to it, which is why we're still talking about it 50 years later.
Thank you for saying that it works no matter which iteration of it you see.
really does.
Thank you for that. I've had so many people tell me, no, has to be the 1981 Wizard video. That's it. Nothing else counts.
No, I mean, even its brief little moments in there's a movie called Summer School, and then of course American Psycho. They show scenes from it. Even those scenes are like, oh fuck, that movie's messed up. Like I forgot how fucked up this movie is.
Every frame is good. Credit to you, Dan.
Every frame has something disturbing in it. Every frame, there's no relief or escape. None. And it's amazing. It's an amazing achievement.
Just
I mean, it's no Beat It. It's no Billie Jean, but it's good.
you did Every Breath You Take too.
Yes.
Oh my
Every
God!
Breath You Take, Guns N' Roses, November Rain.
There's people gasping.
I am the most nominated cinematographer in MTV history, and I haven't made a music video in 12 years.
Wow.
I still am the most nominated.
Well, music videos have kind of gone away. They let that form die, and they shouldn't have. They should have let that form keep going.
Well, there's no money.
Yeah, there's no money.
I want to open it up, see if anybody has any questions for either of these two. You right there in the blue shirt.
Yeah, for either one, especially I think for Daniel, have you gone back to Kingsland, to the house, which is now a restaurant? And if you've been there, what have you felt being in the house, in those rooms again, now that it's a popular restaurant?
I haven't gone. Have you gone?
Yeah, I was there 13 months ago for the anniversary, the 50th anniversary, and if you, I'll go tell you something funny. Go to my Instagram. It's DPearlDP, and you'll see what happened was it was a 3-day event, and on Sunday was going to be cosplay, right? So I'm reading this itinerary out and I just start laughing. And my wife goes, "What are you laughing?" I said, "I'm going to the cosplay as myself 51 years ago." And so if on my Instagram, you'll see it's me in the house, dressed in the exact same, still had the same glasses that I wore then.
Wow.
I managed to reproduce, I wore jeans, bell-bottom jeans, boots, certain t-shirt all the time, and a jean shirt. And I got, obviously, I had very curly hair in those days, and so I had to get a wig. And I didn't tell the cast members, they were all together that morning, and I didn't tell them that I was doing this. And I shaved off my mustache and I'd grown out a beard, and I'd shaved off my mustache and goatee and had put back in the big mutton chop sideburns that I had. And I came walking up to the cast, I had my head down like this, and they're all sitting. I go, "Hey guys, you guys remember me?" I looked up and I went, "Oh my God!" So anyhow, yes, I have been back, and it is the original house. Of course, it's not dressed by Bob Burns, so it's not exactly the same. You might walk around and going, is this really the house? But it is. But
Anybody else? Right? Yeah.
Hey, just how, Daniel, thanks for your work and thanks for being here. Just any reflections on the final shots with Leatherface, with the lens flares at either sunset or sunrise when you were shooting it. I just think it's some of the most iconic stuff ever, the blocking and the way you shot it. Just any reflections like on that. I really think it's like an important series of frames for cinema.
well, here's what's going to blow your mind about it is that, and there's a photograph that's that I got from the Motion Picture Academy. I'm a member, so they gave me all the photographs that they had, and what it made me realize was that I was supposed to be shooting Marilyn Burns, the Sally character, jumping into the pickup truck to drive away, and as Leatherface is limping back towards her, and she jumps in and drives past him, right? So camera goes on my right shoulder, and it makes a little bit of noise, and Toby and everybody else is off to that side of me, and she jumps in the pickup truck, it goes down the hill, it's driving away, and no one's yelling cut. And I'm going, no one's yelling cut. Why aren't they yelling cut? And all of a sudden I hear, and I, thank God I'm handheld at this time, right? I pan to my left, and here's Gunnar doing his dance of frustration, unrehearsed, ad-libbed. We don't know what's going to happen. And if I was stuck on a tripod or on a dolly, we wouldn't have the end sequence that we have. They were confident that he hit me. That's when they finally yelled cut, and that's when the saw just comes and almost blacks out the frame at the very end of it. That's when they yelled cut on that take. And I know that there's a take in there where he throws the chainsaw.
I just saw that for the first time in
put that in there, yeah.
They put it in there, and I don't even know that I shot that. Somebody else, Gunnar may have had somebody else. I have to look at first of all, I want to tell you, it's played as sunrise, but it's actually sunset, right? So I have to look at that other take again and see where the sun is relative to it, because I don't remember him throwing the chainsaw at all. So he may have convinced somebody, because we were wrapped. I mean, that was it. That was the end of the movie. We were done. So he may have talked somebody else into picking up a camera, rolling that. One of my assistants or somebody may have, because I don't remember shooting that where he tossed it.
Sorry, one follow-up. Was the chains actually on the chainsaw, or had they like safetified it?
We had not three saws, but 3 states of saw. You have a full proper with cutting teeth, then you have a chain without teeth, and then sometimes nothing on it, because when it's running you can't tell the difference, especially in the wider shots.
Do either of you, do you think the story continues from here? I know there's a ton of sequels, but is it better open-ended the way that it is?
Well, I mean, it implies, again, my theory is the whole world is going to go insane that day. Like, Sally's not going to escape anything because the world's being consumed. But if we're looking at it from a true crime perspective, the opening narration is the police that then go to the house. And if you also notice in the opening radio broadcast, they say an informant has led, so there's someone else involved in this family, or at least who knows the hitchhiker who ratted him out. So it feels like this was all going to start coming out anyway, like much the same, because there's a lot of theories that Ed Gein had an accomplice that maybe went to the cops and told, and then they let that guy or person, whoever it was, go. So there is this implication that there's a whole other maybe network of people out there. I don't know. It's just, I love the fact that the Leatherface murders the movie he's in, basically. That's how he ends it.
Yeah. It's he cuts the screen.
Yeah, it's the same ending as Two-Lane Blacktop, where the movie just gives out, like it's too much.
Terrific movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, what films were you and Toby using as your cinematic language while filming?
I can answer this. Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Bambi. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I like your answer better.
Oh, can I tell a cool anecdote that I heard about this? You can confirm it. So there was while they were shooting Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they were shooting a big Hollywood movie right down the road called Loving Molly. It was it had Blythe Danner and
Bo Bridge is in it, and I think it was being directed by who did Dog Day Afternoon? Sidney
Oh,
Lumet.
yeah.
And Toby Hooper went down to their set because it's a big Hollywood production, and was trying to steal some of the food from catering. And then they chased him, like, "Get away from me, you stupid hippie!" And then they were like, "Who was that?" They're like, "There's some college idiots making some monster movie down the road." Like, this was a Larry McMurtry novel, Sidney Lumet, big important film. I don't even think Loving Molly's available on video. It's just completely forgotten. And they chased the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre off their set. But answer her question, because it's a good one.
To repeat it again, my memory.
You're
movies,
like
George.
inspo.
Oh, yeah, movies. The reason I didn't remember the question is because videotape didn't exist at that time, right? And films only ran for 1 week. So it's not like today. Today, or in more recent times, I'll sit down with the director and I have a list of, I want to do something like this from this film, this from that film, that from that film, that from that film. You go, okay, that's great, but where? Oh, I don't care, just as long as you do it. I mean, come on, that's totally wrong. It's like, it's got to have a point. Not just that they want to do all these techniques, just because they just recognize them as techniques. So we didn't talk about other films other than that. In the one thing I did talk about was there's a Polanski film, Fearless Vampire Killers, and what I took away from that, and the one thing that I talked to Toby that I wanted to steal from that was that the same thing a magician does is the misdirection, is to get the audience looking one place in the frame, the evil comes into the frame, and when you see it for the first time, it's already in the frame, and that makes people jump, right? And so that's basically where we did that, is in when Franklin in the wheelchair, when he that you don't see it, and then suddenly when you do see him, when the light comes up on him, he's right there in the middle of the frame. He doesn't make an entrance, he's there. And I said to Toby, I said, this, I'm pretty sure, will make people jump, and it does.
Yeah. It's the same shot as Rita Hayworth's entrance in Gilda, just like whipping the hair up and then she's just there. Her and Leatherface. Same shot.
And
Beautiful.
that shot of him like slamming the door. He pulls the girl in and he slams the door. That's lived with me forever. It's just like one of those things you don't unsee. It's almost like a form of trauma in a movie. So thanks for...
It's the sound of it, really. It's the sound effect that really makes that... I think it's the sound effect that makes that as chilling as it is, really. It's the and the sustain, the amount of time that frame is held before it cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Right there.
I have one for Patton and Daniel. Patton, is there a movie that you think deserves this chain reactions kind of treatment with it's so influential you want to sit down with people and to just sort of go through it? Anything coming to mind?
I mean, off the top of my head, weirdly enough, there's another Tobe Hooper film called Funhouse that I think is very underrated and so brilliant in what it does with like this kind of horror where the monsters are just as terrified as the people. There's another movie, I just got a very nice edition of it, but I would love to hear more about the making of it. It's another early 70s film. There was a golden age of early 70s horror where they were just shooting in houses. It felt very, very real. It's called Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I remember seeing that on TV on like a Sunday afternoon, and movies looked like movies. And that was the first movie that looked like, looks like it's really happening. And it really, really holds up, and I feel like it's one of those movies that has been a huge influence on people, even though it hasn't gotten the love that it maybe deserves. Same with Messiah of Evil. If you ever watch Messiah of Evil, that has a couple of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen. And one of them is like in an Alpha Beta supermarket, overlit, and it's so unnerving because you expect the big horror attack to happen in shadows, and it's just this overly lit, it totally anticipates Dawn of the Dead. Like suddenly it's this nicely lit shopping space, but there's just horror in it. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, the daylight.
But this is like the glaring industrial lights, like everything's trying to look bright and sweet, and awfulness is happening.
Nothing hiding in the shadows.
No, there's nowhere to hide. And it also means you can't hide because you're lit. If you're the prey, you are totally lit up. There's no getting away.
Messiah of Evil, a great
Have
one.
you seen the site? You've
Yeah,
seen
the
that.
Bev actually showed it a few times within the last year.
So
Cinematic Void
Oh,
also.
oh, there you
did
go.
too, yeah.
Oh, cinematic. Okay, nice.
Anyone
Nice.
else? Way up there in the top.
Hi, thanks for being here. One of the sequences that always stands out for me that almost feels like time is standing still, or it's a documentary and we're just capturing it, is all the stuff in the van with the hitchhiker at the beginning. And yeah, it almost feels like a sequence that wouldn't be made today because it just goes on and on and on, but it's beautiful and wonderful. I always wondered, was the van in motion, or are there any fun stories about shooting in that super tight space?
I didn't quite hear the question.
He's asking about the sequence with the hitchhiker in the van when they realize, oh, we're trapped in here with this guy like that. And he asked, was the van moving? What was that like? And also, did you have a second question for him as well?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask, since you worked with, the original Leatherface and then the remake Leatherface, and then now I'm learning even Jason, was there much of a difference where you're like, oh, I gotta, I know different productions, different times and everything, but was there like maybe wanting to like shoot some things differently when you got to the remake, where you're like, now I get to do this with Leatherface, and then with Jason where you're like, well, I can't do that, that's the Leatherface thing, I gotta do a Jason thing.
Okay, so remake question and then the van. Okay.
Okay, so, well, a little disheartening to me to watch this, that people said, oh, the cinematography is so amateurish, and, repeatedly people are sort of playing it down. Nobody says that about the remake, right? I flipped that motherfucker. And that's for me, and I knew I had to kill it, right? Because when Toby went off, I was shooting Invaders from Mars when Toby left, finished that, went on to go do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I said, Toby, man, what are you doing? I said, you're offering yourself up on a platter. If it's not as good as the original, everybody's going to say you got lucky. Well, now I get hired. Now, 29 years after the original, I get hired to shoot the remake, and all of a sudden I realized, oh fuck, I got delivery here. And I show up at the first meeting with the producers, and it was their first film, working for Michael Bay, who everybody probably knows is a pretty tough customer. They go, so it's going to be gritty and grainy. I said, well, you want to shoot 16 millimeter? The two of them jump up out of their chair. They go, what, are you crazy? We're going to call up Michael Bay and tell him his first Platinum Dunes project is 16 millimeter? No way. I said, good, because I've already done that. And also, I was surprised when there was nothing that told me of the script of the remake that it was also 1973. I was assumed it was going to be 2002, going to be an Asian person in the van, an African American in the van, the 2002 soundtrack, and they go, no. What they did was they showed me, here's the picture. The first thing they did was I got there, they go, here's a picture of the van. I go, that's an old van. They go, yeah. I go, well, what are you doing with the 73 van? They go, well, it's 73 in the movie. I go, what? There's nothing wrong with the 73 film. I thought you'd be updating it. So then I decided, well, they go, so I said, well, it can't be 16 millimeter. I said, good. I said, because in the 29 years since then, our boss, Michael Bay, our director, Marcus Nispel, myself, and about a dozen or 2 dozen other people, we have totally elevated the visual aesthetic of this audience, right? This will be Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the MTV generation, right? Producers looked at each other. They turned to Marcus Nispel, who was basically like my brother at that time. I was shooting everything he was doing. And they go, well, what does he mean? And Marcus knew very well what I meant, but he just to put the needle on them, he goes, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Is that why every time Leatherface steps in the remake, the floor lights up? Like, is that and then he had a question about the van and was it moving? What was that like?
Yeah, thank you for keeping me on
It's
track.
okay, it's okay.
Thank you, Patton, for keeping me on track.
Yes.
So in the van, what I want to tell you about the van is that it's 1973, right? We're a bunch of hippies who did everything they could to stay out of Vietnam, right? To us, that was like it was the end of your world. If you had to go to Vietnam, it was over for you, right? Well, okay, so I don't know anybody that's in the military. I know anybody that even thinks the military is in any way cool. And all of a sudden, I'm told that we're about to work with the hitchhiker, Ed Neal, and he's back from Vietnam a couple of years. I go, what? This guy's been to Vietnam? I mean, he could freak out and kill all of us. So, I mean, from what we've been told, right? Well, you can imagine, I'm not introduced to him at all. My camera's set up. I'm in the van, my back jammed right up against the motor of the van, make as much room, as possible. Ed sits down in front of my camera and starts to perform. And like, I'm a 23-year-old kid. I've been shooting basically student films, and I've done a few commercials and training films for the Texas State Police. That's the professional jobs that I've had. 3 commercials and maybe a half a dozen training films. But one of them got me hired for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so it was a good thing. But anyhow, I've never seen anything like this caliber of performance. And I'm thinking, this can't be real. It's got to be real. This guy's got to be this crazy. So that's really, for me, the van. The thing that I also want to tell you about the van is that I didn't have any lights. And so it's blown out outside the windows because I'm just exposing with the light that's inside the van. And so there's quite a bit of just everything. Very rarely do you see anything of the outside going by when they're driving in the interiors, and probably could have shot it all on against a white cyclorama instead of driving the whole time. But it was also very hot because you have to have all the windows up to keep the road noise from messing up the soundtrack, and you also can't run the air conditioning because that's noisy on the soundtrack as well. So it was pretty uncomfortable in the van, but uncomfort was what it was all the time everywhere.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us.
Was there
with
one
us.
last question, really quick?
Oh.
Yeah.
My question was like, if you guys had a bigger budget, how different the movie would have looked?
It would look just like the remake. I had. First of all, I'm sure many of you are photographers and cinematographers, so you'll know about ISO. Today, a digital camera, you can't even put it below ISO 200. It was mandated that I had to shoot on the finest grain 16mm film that existed at an ISO of 25. If you can imagine, I'm shooting nights, ISO 25. I'd never seen a light bigger than a 2K. When we went to nights, they gave me 2 5,000 watters and 1 10,000 watt light. I thought, I'm a badass motherfucker. I will burn this city down.
Well, thank you both. Thank you, Patton, so much
Thank you
for
guys for
sharing
coming
your
out.
wisdom
Yeah.
on Texas Chainsaw, nerding out with us. And Daniel, thank you for shooting the movie.
A legend. A legend. All right? Leatherface is not his lover. He's just a man who claims. Sorry. I was...